And everyone, this is Howard Cosell speaking of sports.
You are listening to the Cheap Seats.
Who are these guys?
On Twitter at TCS Willis MSP Detterman, Spreaker and iHeartRadio.
They're here. Here is Steve and Steve.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Ah, boy, here we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is time for the Cheap Seats. It's your host, Steve Willis, alongside me, Mr. Man of my South Bend Cubs watching dreams. The man who's got the hookup on the Cubs tickets for next weekend, Mr. Steve Detterman. And just before the show started, I just found out Mr. Detterman got us tickets for the Cubs Friday. South Bend Cubs.
That's right. We're going to go watch the Chicago Cubs.
We'll be doing the show live.
Yes, we will be.
Four Winds Field. That's going to be awesome. Show's brought to you by Rock's Sports Bar and Grill. For those that go to Rock's, we salute you. And it has been quite a week, and it started on Saturday. Wow. Notre Dame and Duke, and my goodness, what a disappointment by the defense. The Irish defense completely lays an egg and allows Duke to walk out of South Bend with a victory and Brian Van Gorder's job.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We said it last week on the show when Todd Burlage was on here. Brian Van Gorder, that defense, there were problems. He needed to get it squared away, or he needed to go.
Mr. Swiss cheese.
But apparently,
the thing
Brian Kelly decided it was time for him to go.
All three of us agreed, though, you don't want to change a coach midstream.
No, you don't.
And that's why they decided. But then after that debacle, and that was something, I mean, we were sitting there talking about scores, and I think I was the closest one to the actual score because I only had the Irish winning, I think, by about 7. I don't trust that. I didn't trust that defense one bit. And the thing is they lived up to everything that we thought. They looked horrible, just horrible. And it's a shame. And someone's got to pay for it. And you can only back your coach for so long. And Brian Kelly kind of got painted into a corner. Finally, you got to make that decision. That decision is, hey, Brian Van Gorder, see ya.
Well, it's to be perfectly honest, it's a long time coming.
Yeah.
I think this defense from the first week, you could see as much talent that should be on that defense, and as much talent as they have, the raw talent, just defensively, they're missing assignments. Plays are being made due to defensive backs being out of position. I mean, so many big plays are coming out of bad tackling, people out of position, not being able to make the play. And that comes from the kids not knowing the scheme.
Well, it's not knowing the scheme, but it's, when you put together a defense that, these kids, these basically year out of high school kids, I mean, they aren't used to a professional scheme.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And the thing is that's
exactly what I'm saying. They don't know the scheme. Van Gorder switches things up so much from week to week because that is the kind of stuff they do in the NFL.
Right. That
he did this to these college kids who, instead of spending 20 hours just in watching film, they get to spend 20 hours total practicing.
Right.
So they might get to watch film for like 2 hours one day on a Tuesday, and then they already forgot everything they needed to know by the time Saturday got there.
Well, here's the thing that always killed me is that, good teams, you go in at halftime and you do this thing called adjustments.
Yeah.
The only adjustments I saw was, how can we loosen up this defense even more? How can we allow them to run up and down the field or throw up and down the field, even more? I mean, to me, I take a look at that backfield, and the backfield was just getting burned right and left. Well, you got to do something different. The thing is here you go. Maybe my guy can cover their guy for 5 yards, 10 yards at the most. Once they get away, they can't. So what I need to do is maybe I need to put some pressure on the quarterback. How about if I start blitzing some people? Because now I'm putting the pressure on their quarterback to make a decision, not sit back there for 10 seconds, waiting and waiting and waiting because he knows it's going to blow up and he's going to have a wide open guy. But let's make that decision within 3 seconds.
Right.
I mean, did you see any blitzing? Did you see anything that you saw any type of pressure? Though I will give Notre Dame credit, they did get a sack last week. One they
sack.
Finally got a sack after 4 games. They get a sack.
Yeah,
if that
doesn't scream pathetic.
No. Oh, I know.
Lack of attack on the pass rush. Just overall, the defense was very stagnant, which eventually cost Brian Gorder's job. Later on, Todd Burlage will be with us to talk a little bit more about it and what Notre Dame does from here. I don't know. Me personally, I think Brian Kelly pretty much should just end up taking over the defense for the interim. Handle it and then work on a defensive coordinator in the offseason.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, they did move Hudson in there and as a defensive coordinator.
Right.
Right move. I don't think he should have named a defensive coordinator right away.
Uh-huh.
Maybe an interim, maybe whatever. But I agree. I think he should have taken that over. I mean, the thing is that was his forte.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, he was
really
a defensive guy. So, I mean, yeah, take it over. Take it over and put your handprint on it. I just got a feeling that he's seen how damaged Van Gorder has made this defense that he wants to distance himself as far away from it. And to me, it's like, okay, who can I put in there to be the scapegoat? Who is the least person that I want to see stick around? Hudson. Hey, there's a guy. He's not even on the field. We'll bring him in and let him do it. If it goes, great. If it doesn't, hey, he wasn't doing anything for us anyway. It's almost like it's almost like that type of feel that he wants to distance himself so far from that defense.
Yeah, it does feel like that, and Brian Kelly obviously has his own problems on offense, getting them to stay consistent, and with the defense allowing as many points as what they have,
well, and
it puts the offense in a pretty pickle anyway.
Well, it does, and the thing is at that point, you've got a kid at Deshaun Kaiser that has to feel like he has to do everything. He has to make a huge play, and when you get into that situation, that's when you struggle.
Right, exactly. And we had another coaching situation resolved.
A mishap?
Well, it was a coaching change has been made, we'll say that. Les Miles, finally, after all these years, parts ways with LSU.
When you take a look at his record and you take a look what he did down there and so forth, don't you just scream, you got to be kidding me.
I feel bad for Les Miles and the fact that he just had a bad run of luck over the last couple of years. But there is a time sometimes that comes to just put some new fresh faces in there and just try something different. And really, when you're LSU and you're looking at Alabama every year, just doing the same thing over and over and over, and they're just so good at it. And it may be fair, it may be not, but it sets the bar higher for you as a coaching staff because you have Nick Saban, 60 miles away, doing exactly what you could be doing with all the same recruits, and you've been doing it longer. So after a while, I hate to say it, after a while, it's time to start looking at something different. Now, will Les Miles land on his feet? Absolutely, I think so. I really do. I think he very much could end up in a lot of different places. I know at one point they were talking about him possibly coming up to Michigan. Obviously, that's done now because of Jim Harbaugh. No, I'm referring to while he was still at LSU. This is a couple of years ago. They found their guy in Jim Harbaugh, obviously. Right. So now the question is, where does Les Miles go?
Well,
a lot of places. I think would be very happy to take him.
What about just down the road here? What about like 10 minutes from where we're sitting right now? If this finishes off like a 4 and 8 year, which it could.
Do you think the possibility of Jack Swarbrick deciding that Brian Kelly's no longer the man for the job, and Les Miles might get an interview.
Here's the thing. These are the 5 schools being mentioned. CBS Sports brought out 5 schools.
Okay.
Purdue.
All right.
Mississippi State.
Okay.
Oklahoma State.
All right.
Houston. Or Kentucky. Now,
out of all of those schools, if we have to narrow it down to one of 5, if Les Miles sat down and they put all 5 schools in front of him and said, this is all you get to pick from, I like Mississippi State.
I'd probably go Oklahoma State. I don't think he'd want to stay in the same conference.
The reason why I say Mississippi State, recruiting's all going to be the same.
It is.
He's been in that region for so long. He knows what schools are going to produce, what high schools are going to produce, what coaches. He knows all the coaches. He knows everybody. Knows all the scouts. He knows everybody.
Okay.
Mississippi State is a school that has a little bit of lower expectations. If they bring a Les Miles in there, we're still not talking national championship. We're talking decent bowl game. We're talking one of the top bowl games on maybe Christmas Day, maybe New Year's Eve, something like that.
Right.
But we're not talking national championship with Mississippi State, even with Les Miles.
No. Well, and here's the thing. And I look at those schools. Les Miles, do you know what his record was at LSU?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay, hang on, because I got it here. His record at LSU, 114-34. His career record, 142-55. That's a 721 winning percentage. That means out of every 10 games, he wins over 7. So, I mean, it's just like, this is a guy that, is going to win some games. I think with Les Miles, what you've got with him is you get a coach. I mean, he's got a great time right now. I mean, he's got the rest of the season to take a look, but he can see ahead of him some of these schools that are having problems. Okay, but the other thing is you've got some of these bigger programs that if they're not satisfied with what's going on with their coaching, they've got an idea that, hey, there is someone out there that can win some ball games. There is someone out there that has done the recruiting, that's won a national championship, that knows how to get things done. And you better believe that Les Miles is not going to go to a second-tier school. And I look at all those schools, Oklahoma State, Mississippi State, Houston, Purdue, Kentucky. Which one of those screams out to you that this is one of those top teams you want to go to? Now, if I throw out these teams to you, tell me what you think of these. Because these are some schools that may be looking for some help. How about USC? How about UCLA? What about Notre Dame? I mean, if you're going to take your 721 winning record and you're going to take that you've won a national championship already, you can recruit, and you got a hell of a. I mean, if you take a look at that team, they could have won that last game. The game against Wisconsin, they lost. That's one they should have won. You had one taken away from them. So the 3 losses this year are quickly 3 games they could have won. It wasn't a blowout like we saw at Notre Dame. It wasn't what USC went through. It wasn't what UCLA has gone through.
Right.
You've got the opportunity to go to one of these elite schools. Wouldn't you take it? What about a Penn State? What if one of these, just hallowed, schools, one of these dream jobs that you look for, it's not going to be Ohio State because he's not leaving. It's not going to be Michigan. Harbaugh's not leaving. It's not going to be Alabama because Saban's not leaving.
Right.
But if you get to one of these other schools, if you had the opportunity to take a USC, you have an opportunity to take a UCLA. I would have said Texas, but Charlie Strong's having a good year this year, and I think they're going to finish strong.
Right.
If you had the opportunity to go to one of these schools, wouldn't you take it? Wouldn't you take that over in Mississippi State? Wouldn't you take that? I mean, to get somewhere fresh, but to go and rebuild. Take a look. We talk about rebuilding. Take a look at Theo Epstein and the Cubs. If you had the ability to go and rebuild a team, rebuild something, You got the ability to go out to USC and make them a power again. They haven't been a power since Pete Carroll was out there. How long ago was that?
Right.
10 years? Okay. UCLA, when was the last time they were a power?
Oh, it's been even longer than that.
Penn State.
That's been a little while.
Okay. When's the last time Notre Dame has been a power?
Oh,
a power.
Late 80s?
Yeah. I mean, they've had some good, and I won't take anything from Brian Kelly. They've had some good years. They made it to the national championship game. Sure. That was more smoke and mirrors with that team.
Right.
But when was the last time they were a power? If you've got a guy like Les Miles that has made a power, he created a power down LSU. He took that program and made it.
Right.
Wouldn't you be wanting that? And if you were Les Miles, wouldn't you kind of wait back and see?
Here's the thing that I had said. Now, mind you, I had said if you put those 5 teams you had mentioned in front of him, said that's all he got to pick from. I will tell you this: Les Miles, with the equity he has built up as a head coach in college football, he could go anywhere. You are totally right on that. He could go absolutely anywhere. The question is, who is going to open up a position for him? Right now, you could make a case for Notre Dame opening a position for him. Right now, you could make a case for USC to open a position for him.
Yes, tremendously.
Right now, you could possibly make a case for Penn State to open up a spot for him, although I think they're kind of building on what they have, and I think they're okay with what they have. Purdue definitely could make a case.
Yeah, he wouldn't go to Purdue.
But, yeah, see, and there again, you're talking about Les Miles, who, even though he has been fired by LSU, is still easily in the catbird seat for any of these positions. I mean, he's in a very enviable position that he will have more administrators coming to him.
Yeah.
Than he will ever have to put out resumes.
When was the last time we saw a coach of this caliber be available? And I'll tell you when you. I'll let you think first. 2 of them.
I will.
Both in the
Big college.
Both
in college,
both in the Big Ten too.
In college,
yes.
I don't know. I could sit here all night and think about it. Go ahead.
Urban Meyer.
Okay.
And Jim Harbaugh.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. I thought you were talking about coming from college.
No. I mean, and the thing is that but they were coaches that these schools coveted. That every school wanted Urban Meyer.
Right.
Every school. I mean, Urban Meyer took the couple years off and everything else, and by God, they were after him. They wanted him. They wanted him.
Right.
Jim Harbaugh away from the San Francisco 49ers.
The minute
he left, Michigan was all. I mean, it was like flies on honey right there.
Right.
And I mean, the thing is that if you don't believe that Les Miles has already gotten some calls under the table, you aren't thinking straight. Then
I am sure the minute the word started to leak out about Les Miles, that was it. So
I mean, I don't, I look at that one and you just go, okay, I understand you want to make a change, and most changes I would say wait till the end of the season to see what happens. By doing this mid-season, you cause more uproar within your system, than any. You put all your recruiting classes on notice that, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Right.
Maybe I want to think something over. And the thing is Notre Dame by letting Van Gorder go, that didn't really do anything to the recruiting because Van Gorder never went out and recruited to begin with.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that with Notre Dame, it's not about the coaching, it's more about the mystique, it's more about the legend, it's more about the education. That's the thing that gets them going. With LSU or Alabama or anything like that, it's the football.
Right.
That's what gets the recruits down there. Is that I'm going to play for Nick Saban. I'm going to play for Les Miles. How many Notre Dame kids do you think come here and say, I'm going to play for Brian Kelly?
I think in the beginning there was a large percentage of them came and said, I am going to play for Brian Kelly.
On which side of the ball? On which side of the ball, though?
Both, honestly, to start.
I think
both to start.
I think it's just offense.
Now, I would
Pure
agree
offense.
with you. I would agree with you now. Brian Kelly tenure 1, 2, and 3 year. I would say both.
Once
you get to about year 4, I think the defense at that point, it was more what the offense is holding up the team. I want to be a part of that juggernaut offense. Forget the defense. They're playing just well enough to keep them in games.
See, and I disagree because I think they came offense. After what he did in Cincinnati, the 2 quarterback system, when he left them, undefeated, putting up the points that they were doing, and thank you, putting up the points like they
unintentional did. Unintentional bell run.
No, you did that intentionally. I know that because you know the point is good. But putting up all those points and everything that he did to get that offense the way it was, I think that, and coming in and calling the offensive plays and calling, taking over the offense like he did, I think more on offense they came in and said, I want to play for you. Now, he inherited Manti Te'o. He inherited that defense. So those first 3 years when they had that good defense, that wasn't from him. That was from the guy before.
Exactly.
So, what they became is they became the offensive juggernaut because he got the kids to come that were offensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. What I've seen over the last couple of years is they're starting to get these defensive kids. They just need to get a coach in there that can coach to the kids and not coach to a system.
Yeah, I think if they can work out even a decent defensive coordinator, this team still it has the availability of a lot of talent.
I think it does, but you've got to recognize your weaknesses, and now you got to take advantage of other aspects to kind of gloss over those weaknesses and kind of hide them a little bit.
Right.
If the secondary is your defense, then you got to put damn pressure on the quarterback.
Right.
You got to make that decision by the quarterback come instantly, and you got to tell your guys, okay, I know you can't watch that guy for 7 to 10 seconds. Watch him for 5.
Right.
Stay on him like glue for 5 seconds. That's all I'm asking you to do.
Yeah. Allow the defense to make plays up front.
Yep.
And we got to take a break. When we come back, one sport's lost its best friend. We'll talk a little bit about the life and the legacy of one Jack Nicklaus. Right on the other side of this, you're listening to the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Whether it's a hot rod or a grocery getter, DDW Automotive and Transmission has you covered. Since 1991, they've been located at 204 South Beach Road in Osceola, Indiana. Stop by or call 574-651-5000. Ask for Dave. Tell him you heard about him on XCRS Radio. With over 46 years experience in the automotive and transmission repair business, they offer all your high-performance service and maintenance needs. Bring your ride to DDW. If your tranny misbehaves, just call Dave.
Since 1980, Mr. G's has been serving up good food, good drinks, and good times. Woo! Located at 708 Lincoln Way West in the heart of Osceola. They are open 364 days a year with live music on the weekends and food and drink specials every day. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, and check out their website, MrGoc.com.
Stan, Grandma said she poked you and you haven't sent a poke back.
Stop in every Thursday for the world-famous prime rib or to watch your favorite sporting event on their mini HD TVs.
Woo! NASCAR!
Smoking is allowed, so you must be 21 or over.
Perfect.
From all of the games on our big screens to the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats, Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose, 2 half-pound patties, served with bacon, cheddar cheese, and piled high with French fries. Like us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great on your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered between game days, too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match wits with your buddies for great prizes. And every weekend, Rocks features great music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rock Sports Bar and Grill in the Yorktown Center building in downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Hey, this Maximus and the Bartender. Make sure you're checking out our brand new show bringing sports talk to you right here live on Extras Radio.
Tune in every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. for all the latest sports news. NFL, baseball, basketball, hockey, you name it, we got it.
And make sure you check Extras Radio out on Facebook as well.
You can get there through xersradio.com.
Hey, this is Kelly Sue Dennis, the voice of the Michiana scene on XERS Radio. Join me on Monday nights at 6 o'clock in Pleasant Valley. We welcome in local musicians, listen to their stories, and play their tunes. If you want to know what's happened for the week, tune in to xersradio.com. And remember, it's a world live radio, baby. Do what you love and love what you do. Monday nights with Kelly Sue.
And we're back to Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. You ever say something, and as you're saying something, you're thinking of something else, and you just like blurt out what you were thinking instead of what you wanted to say? You ever done that?
Do tell.
I've done that. I just did it just before the break. Yeah,
Yes, you did.
I had want to apologize.
You sent me into a coma almost there.
Yeah, just about killed Steve Detterman. I teased the next segment as we do before we come on, and we tease whatever.
Yeah, before we went to the commercials, you decided to tease what we're going to talk about next.
Right,
and you tease way beyond. Unless there's something that I really don't want you to know that.
No, what happened was I was thinking about some of the stuff we were going to talk about in the next segment. And, of course, Sunday night, Arnold Palmer had passed away.
Right. And
I had thought about some of the greatest matches he had against, Jack Nicklaus, against
Gary Player.
Yeah, Gary Player. He pretty much made Gary Player.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they were the big three. Those were the big three.
And in that, the names just kind of jumbled up in my head for a second. I just kind of blurted out. I said the life and the legacy of Jack Nicklaus.
The passing of Jack Nicklaus. I said, what the hell did you just say?
And I heard a thud as Steve Detterman fell to the floor in an apparent coma because he lost two legends in one night.
No, we can have that.
But so I apologize. I meant
I'm okay now.
Arnold Palmer. And with that, hell of a way to open a segment. With that, Arnold Palmer, of course, passed away Sunday night. And it was a
shock.
It was a bit of a surprise. He has been he's been ill as of late. So and he's been his health has been failing over the last few years. So it doesn't surprise me that he would eventually go. But this did come a little bit out of the blue for those of us who aren't around him every day and just kind of pay attention to the sport. But obviously, you've had a week to digest this, so we're not going to go into such grand detail as to the emotion of it all. Although it does obviously deserve it, we're just not going to bore you with what you've heard for the last week. Some of the other things, though, that I did want to bring up, and some of the things that a lot of people don't really mention. A lot of people talk about Arnold's contribution to the game itself, within the pro circuit of the PGA Tour. A lot of people bring that up, which that, of course, deserves a ton of recognition. All of the titles, the Masters, all of the championships that he's won.
And that helped make Arnold Palmer. But that didn't make that's not what made Arnold Palmer.
Right. If you look at every golf course in the United States and abroad. I mean, hell, even look at some of the courses in Ireland. Some of the big courses in Ireland that have hosted like the Ryder Cup recently. All of those were touched by Palmer. All of those had his hand in their creation, design. I mean, he's made a few of them famous just because his name was attached to him.
It was, but even above that.
Oh, there's more to it than that. That's one angle. That's just one more angle.
I think the biggest thing to the legacy of Arnold Palmer is Arnold Palmer brought golf mainstream. Between him and Nicklaus and Player, they brought the game of golf to the masses.
Certainly.
They brought it to the ordinary guy. Arnie's Army. Who would never? I mean, who can ever forget? Arnie's Army. You just talk about Arnold Palmer. Arnie's Army.
Mm-hmm.
You have a drink named after you, the Arnold Palmer.
Yep.
Lemonade and iced tea mixed together.
Right.
And if you want, you throw a little bit of something else in there too, and you're even better for it. But the thing is that in the light of when television was just starting to take over,
right,
and golf again. Remember, back in the day, it was played by the rich.
Right.
It was played by the privileged. It was like tennis.
Certainly.
It was one of those games where, you had to be well-to-do to play it. Arnold Palmer brought this game to the masses. He's the guy that led into the coming of the bear. The Tom Weiskopfs, the Lee Trevinos, the Johnny Millers, and then finally the Tiger Woods of the world. This is the guy that set it up. He's the one that brought this sport onto the television, brought it into our living rooms, and made it a game that anybody could play. I mean, that's, to me, you look at Arnold Palmer, and Arnold Palmer was that guy. He was a guy you could sit down and have a beer with. Mm-hmm. You could sit down and have a good conversation, and he would not make you feel small. He would not make. I mean, I've talked to a couple different people, some of the different sports people that have talked to him before, that have met him. They said, "What a hell of a guy." He would sit down and he would hold a conversation with you, and it wasn't like, okay, I'm just doing this because I have to. I mean, he actually was interested in what you were doing. He was actually asking questions about what you did, helping with your golf game if he asked him. Well, you may want to try this. But
right.
This is a guy that I think, you talk about people that transcend a sport. This is a guy that transcended a sport early. Because, I mean, he brought the masses in. He brought the army out there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, 87 years old, and by God, I mean, it was like, hey, I can remember watching him march up, the Masters, march up Augusta, way back when with Jack Nicklaus. I mean, this is a guy, he won 7 majors. He won 60-some-odd tournaments.
Right.
But what he brought as far as vitality, as far as just, the fun to the game, that was it.
Sure. And you actually kind of drive home the initial point that I was making about the courses, because we're not talking about when Arnold started to design courses along with some of the
he and Jack Nicklaus
architects.
were the main ones early.
Right. When he started to design some of these courses, he started to take up a cause to bring golf to the not just the privileged in these club courses, but to start working on some of the municipal areas. And more municipal courses have been opened and designed between he and Jack than any other architect, golf course architect in the world. In fact, we have a fine course now up in Michigan, up in Benton Harbor,
mm-hmm.
because of his influence.
Oh yeah.
Right, just up Benton Harbor, just outside of the city limits, almost into St. Joe.
Right,
and that is more of an urban area. A lot of young kids get a chance now to go out there and play on a professionally designed course, a very good course, by the way,
mm-hmm.
and
Harbor Shores.
Yeah, so you have an opportunity to go out there and enjoy the game as these gentlemen did on TV so many years ago. And you don't have to be privileged. You don't have to be the top 1% earners to go out there and play on a course as well groomed and designed as what they're playing on.
Right.
And you don't have to be a member of a $5,000 a year club or anything like that to do something like this. That's what he wanted to see. He wanted to see the common person to be able to go grab a $75 set of golf clubs from your local department store and run out there on a course, pay $15, $16 tops to go out on a course and play around. And that was, to me, a big deal, because now you've not only made yourself accessible to the fans, you've made the game accessible to the fans that don't make, at the time, which at the time would have been a lot of money, that don't make $60,000, $70,000 a year. The average household, which made $20,000 a year, and you made that game accessible to them, which ended up developing these other players who came up through the ranks and were capable of doing these great things.
I mean, I can remember growing up, and my dad played golf, and we'd go outside, we'd take his golf clubs as kids, and we'd swing them around and that, and he'd watch golf and everything else, and he was a big Jack Nicklaus fan, but he loved Arnie.
Sure.
And I would sit there, I'd go out there, and I'd be just like Jack Nicklaus. And my dad goes, yeah. He said, but you know what? Take a look at Arnold Palmer also. He said, take a look back a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's where, I got a little bit more of appreciation, because I was the Nicklaus and that at that time it was Johnny Miller who was just going crazy. These are the guys I watched. The Watsons a little bit later and the Weiskopfs and so forth. But, my dad at the initial said, hey, I understand, you want to be like Jack and everything else, but take a look back. Take a look here. And I can remember, he's an old fogey and blah, blah, blah. But when you watched his game and you watched what he did and how he brought that to the masses, you go, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy that got things going. Between himself, Nicklaus, and Player, the big three, those were the guys that brought golf and made golf what it is today. Yes, you can say Tiger Woods took up, what they had already set. It's like saying, hey, Michael Jordan made basketball. No, I'd go back to say, the Bill Russells, and the Wilt Chamberlains, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the gang ahead of him. Mm-hmm. He just took it and made it even better. Tiger did that same thing. Mm-hmm. But if he did not have an Arnold Palmer there, he might not be there. Might not have been able to afford to get on a course. You never know.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with this. So obviously a lot of players out there paid tribute to Arnold this week, especially with the Ryder Cup starting.
That's it. I mean, the Ryder Cup started this week, started today. Hazeltine, Pennsylvania.
And you were giving me a little heads up on the Ryder Cup before
the last I looked at it was 5-1 United States ahead. The last two matches they were up later on in the matches, so we could end up the first day up 7-1. So that would be kind of cool.
That would be a commanding lead after one day.
Well, it's especially since the Americans haven't won it in how long?
No, it's been a while.
It has been a while. Let me see if I can get a update here for you.
I'm not.
It's 5-2 right now. So
all right.
You need 14.5 points to win. So right now we're 9.5 away. There's still one match up there that's out to play, and that's Dustin Johnson and Matt Kuchar against McIlroy and Peters. With looks like Johnson and Kuchar down 2. So, I mean, it could end up going 5-3 here. So, but still, having the lead after one would be a tremendous feat by them. Now, did you happen to see the golf cut yesterday? That was hilarious. Oh, man.
I did not.
McIlroy, and I'm trying to think who it was. McIlroy and Jacobson, I believe.
Okay.
Were putting on the green. and they had a huge following and huge gallery there. And some guy from the stands was heckling them on the putt that they didn't make. He's, I could make that putt, blah, blah, blah. So what they did was they got the guy out, and they said, $100 you can't make this putt. So they put the ball down, and then they actually came over. McElroy came over and put a $100 bill right next to the ball.
No pressure.
No pressure. Go ahead. Guy nails it.
Did he seriously?
Nails the putt. Nailed it.
Oh, that is great.
I mean, you talk about when we get to the break. I want you to look it up because I had a lot of video on it. It was great.
Did he seriously? If that was me, if that were me, I hit that putt.
Yeah, he did the celebration.
I would just look him right in the eye, and all the while bend down, pick up that $100 bill, tuck it in my pocket, nod to him, and walk right back to the gallery. No,
he did the old fist pump. He did the kind of the run in place and everything else, and gave him each a hug and everything. I mean, he got up there and hey, come on in. You think you can make this? Come up here. $100, you can't make that. Put $100 down there. Nailed it.
That is great.
And the thing is that if he would have missed it, it would have gone probably about 20 feet past. I mean, he nailed the thing. So I mean,
awesome.
it was really cool. It really was, and the thing is that McElroy and Jake they gave him a big hug and smiles and everything else. That's one of the things I love about golf. These guys are they're actually guys. I can remember a while back. Remember the big to do going into the Olympics where we had some of the players decide they didn't want to play.
Right.
And McElroy said, "Well, I don't play. I don't play this for that, for the country and everything else. I play to win, and I play for me."
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. So, but they're just normal guys, and it's fun to watch. It really was, and that was amazing when they did that.
That's neat. We'll have to look that up during the break.
Yep.
I did not hear that. I can't believe I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So something else is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The Chicago Cubs did something that hasn't been done since 2005.
2005. Is this when they decided to make things count?
No.
But it has something to do with that.
Yes, it does.
And what did they do? Because I thought this was very interesting. I watched the game last night and followed it. And when I looked at it this morning, I just kind of did the old double take.
The Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates ended their game last night in a tie. For the first time since 2005, a Major League Baseball contest ended in a tie.
Now, why did it become a tie? Because
here's the reason it became a tie. There were already 7 innings in. The game was tied 1-1. Rain delay started to happen. When the rain came, it didn't look like it was stopping anytime soon.
No, hour 23 minutes.
Yeah, and the umpires got together and they decided we're just going to call the game. They got with Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball said, look, we're not going to bother making it up.
Nope.
It's an official game by rule. All the stats will count.
Yep.
But the game will not go on the win-loss record of either team.
Nope.
Because obviously there is no stat column for tie, because there should not be a tie in baseball normally. However, the reason why Major League Baseball did this is there's not going to be any effect on either team and their postseason record.
No.
The Pirates have already been eliminated. They got eliminated earlier in the week. The Chicago Cubs have locked up home field advantage throughout the National League playoffs. There's zero reason why either team should step out on the playing field in October on a regular season makeup game such as this. Now, had it been a game that was, that meant something to either team, then it would have been a different story. I think they would have waited it out, made it, played a little bit longer, or they would have made it up. They wouldn't have let it just, go as a tie. That's for sure. But when you look at the Cubs' final record,
there'll be one game.
It will be 161 games,
yes,
instead of 162.
Now, talking about games that matter, especially in the game of baseball, we ended up a game last night, one that did matter, that was very disputable at the end.
Very disputable, but then not.
In what way?
Go ahead and set up the game.
Well, here's the thing: you've got the St. Louis Cardinals playing against the Cincinnati Reds. Game's tied, bottom of the ninth. Runner at first base. Yadier Molina hits a drive out into the outfield, bounces on the outfield track, bounces up over the fence, hits a sign, and bounces back into the field of play. You say ground rule double, right?
That's what you say. Yeah.
That's what it should be. It should be a ground rule double, because anytime it goes over the fence, hits on a bounce, it is it's just if it goes in the stands. If it bounces, goes in the stands, ground rule double. They didn't do that. The runner, Matt Carpenter, was allowed to go all the way around and score. As soon as he scored, the umpires ran off the field. Now, this is a reviewable. Remember, Major League Baseball added replay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that was very replayable.
Mm-hmm.
The umpires wouldn't let it replay, and they left the field and let the game go like it was. Now, the thing where this became a game that matters is that the Cardinals are still in the playoff hunt for that wild card. They're one game out. If they would have lost last night, they would have been 2 games out with 3 games to play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the National League, it's a little bit tighter. There's only 3 teams right now playing for wild card berth. So, if I was a team like the San Francisco Giants or the New York Mets, I'd be screaming bloody murder right now. Go ahead.
Let me tell you why neither of those teams has a leg to stand on.
Okay.
That play last night that you referred to, by rule, is not a ground rule double. Here's why. A ground rule double is and I had to look this up too today.
Okay.
A ground rule double is only for when a ball is inaccessible by the defense, like trapped in the ivy in Chicago, rolls under a tarp or something like that. That is a ground rule double.
Mm-hmm.
The other term that we would be thinking of here is an awarded double, and that is by that is umpire discretion at that point.
Okay.
If a ball skips and goes over the fence, that is not a ground rule double by rule. That is the umpire's discretion to award whatever bases he feels to the runners at that point. If he says, hey, that guy was going to score from first anyway, he had a big lead, he will give him however many bases he believes that he was going to take. That is the actual rule. And this is why the umpires now, it is challengeable and it is reviewable. So there is an argument to be made that they could have reviewed this.
So what you're saying is if the ball bounces and goes into the stands, they throw it right back on the field, it's playable. They keep running.
No. Once a fan touches the ball, it is a dead ball.
A something else on the other side of the fence touched that ball.
And it was a dead ball.
It should have been a dead ball right there, right?
It was a dead ball.
So at that point, the players are awarded the base that they're near.
The players
which would have been third base and second base.
The players are awarded, and it is umpire discretion at that point. It is not written specifically. It is umpire discretion.
Okay.
Yeah. See?
No, I don't see.
Well, I hate to tell you, but that's actually what I see. I ended up having to pull up 3 different videos of Tim Kirchin explaining this before I actually figured it out.
I listened to even the Cardinal announcers go, this is going to be reviewed. That's got to be reviewed because it went over the fence, hit that, it's out of play.
Yeah, well,
because it's out of play. Once it hits out, it's out of play.
It is a dead ball. Yes.
Yep. And to not even review it.
That is the rub right there. It should have been reviewed.
That's the travesty right there. Is it wasn't reviewed. Now, does it sound like to me that you've got, maybe 4 umpires that want to get the hell out of Cincinnati because it's cold and rainy?
Well, I'm not going to say that's probably never crossed their minds.
Especially with 3 games left in the season. There's 3 games left in the season. It's cold. It's rainy. Let's get the hell out of here.
I'm not going to say that's never crossed their minds, but at the same time, if that is the motivation for getting off the field, then those umpires needed to lose their jobs.
If that decides the wild card, then how do you feel about it? If that's the deciding, if they win, let's say they end up tied with the Giants, but let's say by virtue of a better record against the Giants, they get the wild card over them. How do you feel now?
Well, I don't really care how I feel now.
I as a sports fan, not as a you're a Cub fan, and hey.
No. What I'm saying is, look. One game? How many games did they get to play against the Giants?
I understand, but you're giving a game away, basically.
You may have been. It would have still been under review.
You gave them a win. You did not allow a review. It's a reviewable play. You did not allow a review.
Well,
you just ran off the field.
I can tell you this: if I was a Giants fan, I would be pissed.
They ran off the field with the players.
if I were a Giants fan, I would be very upset. Oh, yeah. Of course.
I'm a baseball fan. I talked to one of my best friends, a guy I worked with. He is a diehard Cardinal fan.
Mm-hmm.
He was pissed at the decision.
Here's the way I'm looking.
He's a baseball fan.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it was the right decision. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying by rule nobody has a leg to stand on here except for reviewing it, and they didn't allow for a review. And I will tell you this: if somehow they were to figure out that these guys did this basically just to get off the field and close up shop early. Mm-hmm. That should cost somebody their jobs. If anything, the lead umpire, if not the whole damn crew.
Country Joe West.
Yeah, well, that doesn't shock me at all.
I don't know who it was. I'm just saying. Because he's one of the biggest jerks out there.
Yeah.
Country Joe West.
So that would obviously, be something that Major League Baseball would need to look into.
Right.
But let's not, I'm not going to spin conspiracy theories on
this. Come on now. They all want the Cardinals in there. They do.
Oh,
come on.
No, I don't really particularly care.
Actually, those 3 teams are trying to see who can back in to the playoffs.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because, I think all the records are coming down the stretch are like, 5-5 every week.
Think about this. Whichever team it is, congratulations, you've just won the second wild card. Oh, by the way, you got to go to Wrigley.
If you win.
If you win. You got to go to Wrigley.
Yeah, right now.
Good luck.
Yeah, right now you've got the Mets are leading. They've got a 1-game lead over San Francisco and a 2-game lead over St. Louis. So if the Mets win tonight, they're in. Because there's only 2 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the Mets lose tonight, that you throw it all in there. And as far as who they're playing, and this will give us an idea, the Mets play the Phillies. The Cardinals get to play the Pirates. That could be tough because the Pirates want to keep them out.
Yeah.
And the Giants, they get the Dodgers, of course.
Oh, that's always.
But you've got,
rivalry.
the matchup tonight: Bumgarner versus Hill.
Yeah, the Mets pretty much. The Mets have obviously all they have to do is worry about winning. They don't have to worry about anything else.
Right.
Against the Phillies, that's a very favorable matchup.
Yep.
For the New York Mets. So
I agree.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you gave me that matchup, sounds to me like it's time to start breaking down Cubs versus Mets.
Possibly. But the Mets haven't been playing good. And then the Mets had another arm that they put on the shelf, and Steven Matz. He's not going to pitch anymore.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Now, if we look at the American League, you've got 4 teams right now fighting for 2 spots.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore and Toronto, dead heat. Detroit, a game and a half out. You say, game and a half? There's 3 games left. How's that happen? And Seattle, too. Well, Detroit's a game and a half out because their game last night against Cleveland was rained out.
Oh, they got to make it up.
Well, they may have to make it up.
Yeah, or they may not.
That's right.
Yeah, depending on if they're out or not.
But there's some tough matches. The Blue Jays, they got to play Boston this weekend.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy.
Which is a delayed start right now, so there's some weather going through, too, that's going to cause some problems. We may get delayed a little bit here. The Orioles got to play the Yankees. Yankees are going to drop over. You know that.
Yeah.
The Tigers get the Braves, the Bravos. Now, the Bravos have been playing tremendous baseball here lately.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks they've been heating up.
Yes, they have. And then we had one more team. Who was that? That was who was it? Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And Seattle, they have a long shot because they've got to jump 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
But they're playing the A's, and they're at home. So,
I like the matchup, but they need a lot of help.
Tigers are on the road,
right?
And they've been struggling.
Yeah.
Seattle's at home. The Blue Jays are on the road, and the Orioles are on the road.
A lot of road dogs in that one.
Now you take a look at it. The 4 teams, 3 are on the road.
Man.
1's at home. And the three that are in the lead are the ones on the road. And they each have tough matchups.
Everybody got that?
Do you want me to go over it again?
No.
Okay.
No.
But I mean, this is the first time, and we talked about this before the show started. This is the first time I can remember coming down to a wild card that we get to the final weekend of the season and we don't know any of the wild cards. We know not one. Not one of them have clinched.
Yeah, I mean, really, as far as
you talk about this, 159 games down.
Now, all the division leaders have clinched.
Yes, all the division leaders. Yeah, those have been clinched. I think the Red Sox were the last one, and I think that might have been Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I was thinking that was Tuesday night.
Okay.
So it's been nothing but wild card races for both leagues here in the last couple of days. That speaks to really how the middle of the pack in baseball is so very convoluted.
It's been unbelievable, and the races have just been tremendous. Now, you and I are going to get part of the playoff magic next week.
That's right, a little postseason magic for your boys as Mr. Detterman and I take the show on the road, quite literally.
Yes,
in fact,
we'll be downtown South Bend.
Yep, we'll be live at Four Winds Field, so definitely check that out, and we will be inside the game.
Yeah, we'll be actually watching on the big screen as the Cubs play that night.
Yep,
and we'll do our show there.
Yep, absolutely. It'll be a fantastic time. I think we'll have a great time.
I think it will be. There might be a couple of adult beverages maybe around.
That's always a very good possibility.
That's as long as they're serving. Hey, as long as it's available. I mean, why not? I'm going to be driving, so it'll be maybe one. So
I don't have to drive as far.
I might have to bring a designated driver. You just stay out in the car. I don't have tickets for you.
Yeah, there you go. Can you spend a couple hours?
We can bring Emily. She can tweet out in the car.
There you go. Yeah, producer Emily, we got a new job for you.
Yes. So now she is not with us tonight.
No. She's remote.
She is in Ypsi. She's over in Detroit area. She's watching the Chill on a Hill. It's a concert featuring Bastille.
Really?
Yeah. So she's gonna. I said I'm jealous. I'm very jealous.
Bastille.
Yes.
Okay, I believe I am familiar with some of their work.
Yeah, you should be very familiar with some of the work. So,
in fact, I can think of one song in particular.
I bet you can. So, but that and it's going to be a fun night as we get ready for playoff baseball. It's hard to believe that it just seems like yesterday you and I were talking spring training.
Right.
Pitchers and catchers report. Now soon, pitchers and catchers go home, except for those that are in the playoffs. The rest of you just go home. Now go to the golf course. So, and soon we're going to see within a couple of weeks, because you won't see too much action until the playoffs are over. But we're going to start seeing the head coaching positions open up. We're going to see a couple of different things. We'll see some posturing by teams as far as trades, as free agents, and so forth. Other big news this week in the world of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The Chicago Cubs extend Theo Epstein for another 5 years.
I saw that.
And they also extended Jed Hoyer and their player personnel guy for 5 years. I mean,
what's that tell you?
It tells you that the Cubs are serious about keeping going with it. And the thing that was interesting, I was listening to an interview with Theo. He said, it was one of the most cordial type of processes. He said, we went in and the first thing is Ricketts says all these nice things about me, so he loses his leverage.
Right.
And then I say, well, I want to stay with the Cubs. He says, so I lose my leverage. So he says, when do you walk into negotiations and both teams just, both sides lose their leverage and just say, okay, what do we need to do to get this done?
Right.
That's it.
Right.
You got it. So, I mean, it was amazing. And it just shows you the commitment that the Cubs have, but also how exciting and how revitalized that Theo Epstein still is, that he wants to be there to continue doing what he has done. And he said, as soon as it becomes boring, as soon as we don't want to be there, that's when it's time to leave. He said, but this is a great group. It's a great organization. It's a great owner. He says, I'm having the time of my life.
Right.
So for all of us Cub fans, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And so we have got to hit a break. Todd Burlage on the other side of this. And here's a little Bastille on the way out.
I sing it on.
She's listening to Bastille.
Oh, she is.
There we go. So now we are too.
I am jealous.
All right. Todd Burlage joins us in just a minute. Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Hey, this is Kelly Sue Dennis, the voice of the Michiana scene on XCRS Radio. Join me on Monday nights at 6 o'clock in Pleasant Valley. We welcome in local musicians, listen to their stories, and play their tunes. If you want to know what's happened for the week, tune in to XCRSradio.com. And remember, it's a world live radio, baby. Do what you love and love what you do. Monday nights with Kelly Sue.
Have you heard those two wacky guys, Chris and Gid, on the Life is Art Also show? They share their favorite songs and their future favorites too. They have live interviews with authors, comedians, artists and musicians, and lots more. They also have a Word of the Week with Mad Dog Ho, the official lexicographer of Internet Radio. Tune in every Thursday, 6 p.m. on XCRS.com.
Hi, I'm John Brasser from Team Consulting, Inc. At Team Consulting, we can help your business navigate the maze of governmental regulations that can be overwhelming for any business. We offer over 60 years of experience in environmental engineering, safety consultation, and ISO 9001 quality solutions. We're located right here in Michiana. Give us a call at 574-229-0927. Tell them you heard it on XCRS Radio.
I've been Mishawaka so alive.
Whether it's a hot rod or a grocery getter, DDW Automotive and Transmission has you covered. Since 1991, they've been located at 204 South Beach Road in Osceola, Indiana. Stop by or call 574-651-5000. Ask for Dave. Tell him you heard about him on XCRS Radio. With With over 46 years experience in the automotive and transmission repair business, they offer all your high-performance service and maintenance needs. Bring your ride to DDW. If your tranny misbehaves, just call Dave.
Someone may have reached utopia. They figured out the best of both worlds, a 5-star dive bar. In fact, that is what it is and is its name. 5-star dive bar at 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, near Johnson Street. Serving at the 5-star full lunch and dinner menus. Get it all from appetizers to desserts. Special 5-star burgers, and Jake has great buns. The dive bar is also a 5-star place to go for nighttime entertainment and fun. Full bar service and the 5-star frozen Jaeger bomb. With live music 4 nights a week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, a karaoke DJ. That is the 5-star dive bar, 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, 574-294-7500. 5-star dive bar on Facebook.
XCRS Radio. Take it with you when you go. Laptop, car, or on the phone. Extras Radio on the net.
Hi, my name's Dan Allen, and I like XCRS Radio.
And we're back to Cheap Seats, brought to you by DDW Transmission this hour. You hear a clunk, hear a rattle, take DDW, they'll take care of you.
I thought you were talking about the team down the line. So yeah, we'll bring Todd on and talk about that clunk and that rattle because we sure as hell saw that last week, didn't we?
Yeah, clunks and rattles.
Clunk, rattles, and a big dump. That's
sounds like the Notre Dame defense to me. And here to talk about the new opening for defensive coordinator, our candidate, and that is Todd Burlage. How you doing, Todd?
Not too bad.
He knows how to get defensive.
I think I could teach better tackling than what's going on here, and certainly clunks and rattles. That's pretty fitting.
Yeah, definitely. You could definitely teach better than some of that Olay stuff I've been seeing them doing. It looks like they're trying to wear down a bowl out there. On defense. Seriously.
Wear down a bowl.
Yeah, seriously.
They've lost every bowl game that possible. They wore them all down.
I mean, seriously, some of those defensive backs, all they need is a Matador's hat and a red flag. Olé! So, anyhow, this obviously cost Brian Van Gorner his job. We all know that. Where has Notre Dame restructured their coaching staff, and who's in place now? Get us up to speed on what they're going to be looking like on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay, well, Brian Kelly finally, and I stress the word finally, has taken a more active role in the defense. He's been asked to do this by the media and everybody, all the fan base and everybody in between. Keep in mind, Brian Kelly spent his first 8 years as an assistant coach before he became a head coach up at Grand Valley on the defensive side of the football. So we're not talking about – everybody just sort of assumes Brian Kelly's a quarterback guru, and that's what he does. In all honesty, really his resume suggests that he really was brought up from a defensive standpoint more than anything. So that was part of the frustration I think that people had, was that he didn't jump in and sort of squash this negative defensive momentum all the way back to last season when they were giving up a lot of points, and even before that, for that matter. So that's been the plan. And Brian Kelly, so what he's going to do, he's going to sort of take over the defense. We can get into a few more specifics on what he's planning to do as far as changes and tweaks. But Greg Hudson then will be the interim defensive coordinator. He was in an analyst role here. He's a bit of a journeyman, but he has a pretty extensive resume. Greg Hudson He actually went to Notre Dame. He was a reserve linebacker back in the 80s. He was a graduate assistant coach under Lou Holtz, then moved on and actually worked under Skip Holtz as an offensive line coach at East Carolina. Moved on to defensive coordinator positions at Cincinnati and then Minnesota, and then went back to East Carolina as a defensive coordinator. Landed with Jimbo Fisher in 2010 as an assistant head coach, which sounds impressive, obviously, and a linebacker coach. And spent his last 3 seasons before coming to Notre Dame at Purdue as the defensive coordinator. Now, when you look at Greg Hudson's resume as far as, especially, obviously, I'm not going to go all the way back through some of those other stops, but at Purdue, not a lot to report. During the 3 seasons there under Darryl Hazell as head coach, Purdue went 6-30, and Hudson's defenses, let's see here, total defense, he ranked 95th in 2013, 83rd in 2014, and then 111th in 2015. So at least on paper, you don't see a lot there that you're encouraged about, but I had a chance to talk to Mike Carmen, who writes for the Lafayette Journal-Courier, and he said the guy is very passionate and very loud and really does show a lot of enthusiasm on the job. And that's what Brian Kelly is looking for. He wants more enthusiasm, more urgency out of defense. So that's what he's hoping to get here. He wants Hudson to be more of a cheerleader type of guy, a motivator type of guy, while Brian Kelly's going to take over the X's and O's.
Okay, so now just to play a little devil's advocate, if this doesn't work out and they do start looking for names on defense for a defensive coordinator position in the off season, have we heard any early names floating around? I know there was a big firing down in LSU, a very defensive head coach. Any chance Notre Dame could be looking at him as a defensive coordinator, or possibly, if things go really south, maybe even a replacement for their current head coach?
No, 4 games into the season, it's really difficult to put a candidate list together, because at this point, all the defensive coordinators that are worth a damn are actually on the job. So you don't know who's going to wiggle free there, and certainly Les Miles wouldn't come to Notre Dame as a defensive coordinator.
No, of course
And we'll
not.
have to wait and see. I don't know. I've heard some speculation about, Les Miles taking over for Brian Kelly. The way Brian Kelly's recruiting and the momentum he has shown, really, I don't put Brian Kelly on the hot seat this year at all. That would really be a shocker for anybody to run him out of here. The recruiting classes he's building are fabulous. They just have to start developing these guys. That's been the snag so far. That goes without saying. So to try to put together any kind of candidate list, I honestly think Brian Kelly is going to give Greg Hudson, kind of an audition here through the rest of the season. Again, he's going to start out as more of a cheerleader role, get these guys motivated and whatnot, and while he sort of digests the system. This is his first year here at Notre Dame under that analyst position. As an analyst, you're not on the field working with the guys. You're sort of, they give you special projects, specific projects that the head coaching staff does to kind of look ahead to opponents and do things like that. So he's not really all that equipped just yet to kind of come in here and just sort of run his X's and O's and do those types of things. But at this point, to start to name candidates and do that thing, I think would be a little bit premature. But certainly, there's the red flags are up now about what's going on here, because this is a defense that is underachieving, needless to say, enormously. When you're, 101st in scoring and 103rd in overall, or vice versa. Anyhow, it's damn near down the bottom of the pack.
I think they're on the wrong side of awful.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the 2 critical categories, obviously, and they're showing no signs of improvement. They finally had their first sack of the season against Duke, which was, I guess, a little bit of encouragement, considering they were the last team in the entire country to record a sack. You have to wonder what's going on here, and certainly Brian Kelly promises a quick fix, but as bad as it looks when you watch this defense play, I don't know how a quick fix is possible, frankly.
Well, and looking at the game last week, Todd, you could tell when Duke was on that drive, you could just look at the defensive backs and you knew that they weren't going to stop them. And they just had that defeated look. There was like a defeated look in their eyes. And the thing that kills me is that, to me, when I see that, as a coach, and the one thing I mentioned to Steve a little bit earlier, I mean, most teams, when you go in halftime and you're having a horrible game, you do this thing called adjustments. And you make these adjustments to kind of, change things up. And the one thing I didn't see out of Notre Dame over the last 4 weeks, actually the last 2.5 years, defensive-wise, is coming out and making an adjustment. I mean, I looked at this team and I said, okay, now where do you start? Because you've got some guys right now that are borderline damaged. I mean, their confidence is shocked. I mean, just shot to hell. And you've got to take these kids, and they're not professionals. I mean, these are young kids. And I take a look at what Brian Kelly and Hudson have to do. I mean, this is a monstrous task. Is this something that, you take a look at? Is this something that they can save, or is it now something you got to go, okay, what I want you to do as a cornerback is you guard your guy for 5 seconds. That's it. Give me 5 seconds, and I'm going to bring the whole house in that quarterback to have him make a decision within that 5 seconds.
Yeah, okay, so you want 5 seconds out of them, but yet they have 1 sack all year, and this Brian Van Gorder defense was built on mayhem, pressuring quarterbacks.
But they haven't done that. They haven't.
No, obviously, they're the last team in the damn country to get a sack.
But how many blitzes do they do?
Turnovers. I'm sorry?
How much blitz? I mean, I don't think I've seen a blitz. It used to be with Brian Van Gorder. I mean, that first year, they blitzed like, 4 out of every 7 plays, it seemed like. Now, you don't see that at all. You didn't see them bringing the house. You didn't see them, bringing pressure up the middle or a guy off the corner. I think it's because they're so, I don't know. If they're that unsure of their defense, they got to do something to hide some of their weaknesses.
And yet they're not hiding them very well, are they?
No, not at all. And that's
you're so right, Steve, because you would think that a team that is giving up more big plays than any more plays of 50-plus yards during a football game would that would suggest a defense that is taking a lot of risks up front and just getting thrown over the top of when the blitz gets picked up. But you're exactly right. They're not even doing that. The thing that most amazed me about Duke couldn't even run for 120 yards against Wake Forest and Northwestern in its previous 2 games coming into Notre Dame. And they were absolutely mowing that defensive front of Notre Dame's over. I just could not. While we talk about missed tackling and bad coverage and all that stuff, that's the one that was the element that got me more than any of it. How does Duke rush at Notre Dame Stadium in really what was supposed to be a get-well game and a very important game to get back to 2-2 for Notre Dame at the time? How do you get pushed around in front by Duke, a team that couldn't even run against Northwestern or Wake Forest? So I don't know how to answer that. Hopefully Brian Kelly does. And he says in his explanation for this, which is going to be really interesting, he said, we're not playing enough guys. And I get that. And I don't disagree with him by any stretch of the imagination. The sort of the disproportion when it comes to game reps within players really is striking, guys. Let me back you up to last year, okay? If you remember, Niles Morgan came into Notre Dame he was a recruit darn near up to the level of Jalen Smith when he came here in 2014 as a freshman. He was a freshman All-American, had a great season because Joe Schmidt was hurt, came in a middle linebacker, really did a nice job, really did for a first-year player at a tough position, did a great job. But last year, 2015, we come back, and we're all expecting Niles Morgan to take another step in the right direction. Check this out. So at that linebacker spot, Joe Schmidt last year, 2015, took 820. This is a one-legged, one-armed, athletically challenged Joe Schmidt, took 828 snaps. That's 66 per game. Niles Morgan took 41 snaps at linebacker all of last year. That's 3 per game. That is inexcusable to me. And when you look at it, the same thing is going on this year. Isaac Rochelle routinely gets 70, 75 a game. Jerry Tillery, same thing. Cole Luke. And now Niles Morgan has played his way into that situation as well. It's just the snaps are disproportionate. And we've heard about guys like Jay Hayes all through spring ball. fall camp, and Asmar Bilal, another great linebacker who we were promised was going to get a bunch of playing time. These guys didn't even play against Duke. And so I think Brian Kelly's on to something here, but his dilemma is going to be trying to fit now in 1 week, trying to make his rotation about twice as big as what it was, get these guys on task, lined up right, against one of the most fast, arguably the fastest, it will be the fastest paced offense that Notre Dame will face all season. Syracuse runs 86 plays a game. 86 plays a game. And now Brian Kelly's going to, in 1 week, figure out how to put a bunch of young guys in and get them situationally ready to go and run all these substitutions in and whatnot. It's going to be a really tall task for Brian Kelly to implement what he wants to do, playing all these guys tomorrow against Syracuse and trying to get these guys in and out of the game that are inexperienced. I think it could very much be a comedy of errors tomorrow. I really do.
So that actually brings me to the Syracuse game. Is there a way to right the ship against Syracuse? What kind of strategy, with a struggling defense that the Irish have, what kind of strategy can Brian Kelly use to slow down that Syracuse offense and maybe take control of the time of possession in this game?
Well, the obvious answers, Steve. It's get the damn running game going that has really stunk. The offensive line is playing like crap. And again, Brian Kelly singled out Dexter Williams, the sophomore running back, as being the lone bright spot against Duke. He had 10 carries. Josh Adams had 26. And Terry Folston has dropped off the face of the earth here. It's just a matter of, I don't know if it's more of a commitment to the running game or getting the offensive line to play better. But if you're Notre Dame and you're playing Syracuse, you need to control tempo. You need to do what you do and take control of this game. You're a superior athlete. It's I hate to use the term. It's not rocket science here, but that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You take it. You slow. I don't know that you necessarily slow the tempo of the game, but you keep the Syracuse offense off the field. That's the only way to slow these guys down. But Notre Dame has not been able to stop anybody on third down or fourth down or any down for that matter. And if they're unable to do it, it's going to be more of the same. I honestly don't see any reason why Syracuse can't score a bunch of points tomorrow. I think it's going to be a land of confusion for Notre Dame defensively as we try to, if Brian Kelly sticks to what he's vowed all week, and that's to run a bunch of players in here. I just don't know how you substitute against a team so fast with a bunch of inexperienced players. I honestly, there's been so much confusion among the veterans and the guys that are used to playing 60 snaps. Now, how the hell are you going to have less confusion when you're running in guys that have only played 4, 5, 6 snaps the entire season? It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it truly looks. It looks like, can Notre Dame outscore these guys? That's what it looks like to me. But
now then, what we're doing is it's the same thing we did at the Duke game. Now you're putting all the pressure on the offense that they have to score just to make up for the defense.
Clearly, that looks like the case. A little stat that Tim O'Malley from Irish Illustrated came up with that I thought was interesting, and I just keep going back to tempo because it's really hurt Notre Dame. I think back to 2014, Brian Van Gorder's first season here as the defensive coordinator. If you remember, Notre Dame started out 5-0 that season, and they were giving up 12 points a game. This is Brian Van Gorder's rookie year here, giving up 12 points a game. I think they were ranked 5th nationally at the time. And then North Carolina came to town, and they ran about 102 plays and hung 50 points on Notre Dame. Notre Dame still managed to win that game. It was 53-50. I'm working off my memory a little bit here. But Notre Dame still managed to win that game. But, boy, that just kind of busted the blueprint out on how fast teams and high tempo can really exploit this Notre Dame defense. And ever since then, the rest of even that season, guys, if you remember, Notre Dame ended up finishing 3-5 that season and gave up 40-plus points a game the rest of the year. So it was kind of like North Carolina kind of cracked the code. You thought North Carolina was fast? Wait till you see the Syracuse team play. Now, the one downside to playing so fast, and obviously that's the new wave, or that's the current wave of college football, is fast-moving teams also can get off the field on 3 and outs in like 20 seconds. So, that's what Notre Dame needs to do. They need to do a better job on third down, and they need to find a way to control things offensively and take some, just take some air out of that. But the point I was getting at, since 2014 when Brian Van Gorder got here, there have been 12 teams that have been able to run 70-plus offensive plays against Notre Dame, okay? 8 of them have won. The teams that get to 70 plays are 8-4 against Notre Dame. When Notre Dame is able to hold a team under 70 plays, Brian Kelly and his team, they're 11-3. And of those, when I say the 8-4, Texas, Michigan State, and Duke all were able to get over 70 offensive plays. It's almost remarkable that Michigan State was able to do it because that's not really how they're set up to do it. That's not really how they're set up. But it just goes to show you how fast-paced teams have really been a pain in Brian Kelly's butt. And I'll tell you what, they won't see any faster than what they're going to get tomorrow. And that noon start worries me as well.
But that's, and I understand that. And I agree. But that's when you need to have the running game to slow this thing down a little bit. And
sure.
And this was the team that was supposed to have the whole, these are the greatest offensive linemen. They had these great teams and everything else. And we haven't seen the run game do squat for the last 4 weeks.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, there's not a unit really. I think the linebackers have played okay. The defensive line is obviously remarkably underachieved. With, like I said, they kind of, while they may not record all the sacks, the defensive line certainly is the catalyst to other guys and getting sacks. The defensive backs, we need to discuss that. The running backs have not been very good, and the offensive line has sucked. Really, when you look at it, I think the only 2 bright spots have been really, and I don't even know if I'll call linebacker play a draw, but I think Deshaun Kaiser, I think the quarterback play has been pretty good. Wide receivers have been okay. They've come along, but they had 2 costly fumbles against Duke, so I don't even know if we give them any kind of, you can just go down the list there, and special teams has stunk. I mean, they had Duke down 14-0.
Right.
Nothing going on for the Blue Devils. Then they gave up a kickoff return for touchdown, which in my opinion changed the entire game. I know it was early in the game, but certainly that absolutely breathed all kinds of life into Duke.
Oh, that just put them,
that was the jump start that the Blue Devils needed. It certainly got. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think it all would start with the running game, and that's always the easy answer. But certainly Notre Dame has not been able to come up with any easy solutions to what seems like a logical explanation on how to win these games. And that's how Brian Kelly said. Coming into this season, I won't forget it because I've referenced it many times. He was asked, give me a couple reasons why Notre Dame fans should be excited about this season. What are you going to hang your hat on? And he said the running game.
Yeah.
The running game is going to be so solid. We're so deep there. We can run 3 guys in with different skill sets. The offensive line's ready to go. Well, that hasn't worked out. The other one was he said, well, this year we feel like our defense is in great shape. The guys understand the system now. There's no confusion. They're going to be in the right spots. They're going to make all the plays. And so those were the two items that Brian Kelly listed when he was asked to list his top 2 reasons for promise for this team: the running game and the play of the defense. And how has that worked out?
Yeah, and when you look at that, Todd, I mean, you just go, okay, and Brian Kelly's not in trouble. I mean, let's just go beyond this game. I mean, we take a look at the remaining schedule. Where is there? I mean, when we looked at this earlier, we said, when you first looked at before the season started, you go, Texas, that should be a win. Nevada, that's a win. Duke, that's a win. Michigan State's going to be tough. Syracuse, North Carolina State, those would. Stanford's going to be tough. Remember, at the beginning of the season, well, Stanford's going to be the tough game. You take a look at the rest of the season. Tell me an easy game. Is your easiest game the last one against USC because they're sucking as bad as Notre Dame right now?
Yeah, but and they have the same level of talent as Notre Dame right now too, and that's out in L.A. So I don't think you can necessarily circle around that one as a sure win. There aren't any. As a matter of fact, Notre Dame opened as a 2-touchdown favorite at Syracuse. Last I checked now, they're a 9-point favorite, and so I just, like I said, I base it on tempo. I don't see any gimmies on this schedule. I think you're exactly right. I would assume that Army, even though Army runs the ball very well, 300-plus yards a game against a very crummy Notre Dame rushing defense. I know what you're saying there. I certainly would think that would be about as colossal upset as you could find. But, guys, Notre Dame has to win 5 of its last 8 games to become bowl eligible. And you know as well as I do that folks around here, they don't want to hear about the Belk Bowl. They don't want to hear about the team that came in as a top 10 team with playoff aspirations. Now all of a sudden they win 5 of its last 8 games to become bowl eligible. Folks around here don't want to hear about that or talk about it, but they better start wanting to hear about it and talk about it, because those 15 bowl practices in preparation for the bowl might be more important than anything that happens the rest of this regular season. There is so much turnover and change and chaos and everything else that's going on. Those 15 practices, when they try to sort out what's going into next year, are going to be infinitely important. And for folks that are already saying, "Oh, just turn down a bowl offer," that they say it's silly to go to a crummy bowl game. It's silly to say you shouldn't go to a crummy bowl game.
You just go.
To me, it's so important for Notre Dame to get those extra 15 practices.
You just go back 2 years ago when they played the crummy bowl game against LSU, and that set them up for last year.
Because, you're exactly right.
Because that's when we got to see Malik Zaire do what he did. That's when we got to see some of these guys, and those 15 practices allowed last year to happen.
There's no doubt about it. Yep. And, while last year wasn't perfect, especially it kind of fell apart at the end, certainly that's what you set yourself up for. And Brian Kelly keeps pulling the youth card, young, inexperienced. You need those practices. Whatever happens in said bowl game does not matter. But boy, oh boy, you need that extra time with this team. You just do, because you're trying to figure out who the hell your defensive coordinator is going to be first and foremost.
All right, so I hate to do this, but we're gonna have to make a prediction for tomorrow's game. I say I hate to do this because this is gonna be this could get out of control really quickly if Syracuse can throttle this defense as they've been throttled the last 4 games. Todd, give us your take. Syracuse, Notre Dame tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning.
I'm going to keep going back to really what I focused a lot of this interview on, and that was that Syracuse is the fastest paced. I wish my daughter would quit calling me during these interviews and then just not realize I can't take the call right this second, and then just continue to call and call and call some more. But anyhow, I keep going back to the pace of Syracuse that has given Notre Dame so much trouble, and now trying to, again, implement a new scheme with high substitutions and going so much deeper into your depth chart and roster. I just see a lot of confusion on defense tomorrow. I can't help it. So I honestly like Syracuse in this game, 34-30. Now, if Notre Dame can somehow find a way to counter and slow them down and keep them under 70 plays, which I think will be a tall task, and certainly Notre Dame holds the advantage. But I think they're going to have a tough time slowing this Syracuse offense down. I think there's going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of penalties defensively, and that will extend a ton of drives for Syracuse. I kind of like the orange. Oh, she's calling again. Sweet. 34-30 orange.
All right, well, thank you very much, Todd, for your input. I guess you better go take that phone call.
Tell her hi from both of us.
Yeah, let her know we said hi.
You got it. Thanks, man.
All right, have a good week, Todd. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
So what do you think? I
am right there with Todd on the fact that the Irish they're going to have to find a way to step up and make plays on third down and keep Syracuse from extending drives, and they're going to have to do that all while making substitutions faster than they ever have all year. It's going to be a very, very difficult game for the Irish.
I agree. Give me a score.
I've got Syracuse winning this one going away. I got Syracuse winning this one 41-21.
Wow.
Big win.
This is, Syracuse. I think I'm going to be the only one that's going to actually think that Notre Dame's going to win this. I think it's going to be a barn burner. I really do. I think it's going to be up and down, up and down. I mean, you talk about the orange. The orange is going to be juice. I mean, they're just going to be all over the place. I think Notre Dame actually is going to match them. I think that we're going to see Kaiser actually have a great game, both passing and running. I think it's going to be his legs are going to carry it. I think we're going to come down to a 49-45 game Irish.
That is a big number.
Well, I mean, last week with the three of us, we were looking at the 21 point favorite. I think I was the closest one, keeping the Irish only winning by 7. And we saw what happened. Because I told you I didn't trust their defense, and I still don't. But I think their offense will get it done against Syracuse, and I like the 49-45.
Well, the one thing that Syracuse does have that is Notre Dame's advantage, Syracuse does have a horrible defense as well. So there's a possibility of barn burner.
So like I said, there's like a little silver lining out there that someone else has a defense that sucks just about as bad as yours.
Well, not as bad.
Almost.
But it does suck.
Almost.
Yeah, we got to get to a break. We will be back just on the other side of this. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Hey, ladies. Tired of the same old story? Getting promised all this big meat only to find out it's just the same old average helping? You need someone that can satisfy all your cravings.
You know what she needs? She needs some Scoobies.
Scoobies. Oh, yeah.
Scoobies at 223 North Main Street in downtown Mishawaka can satisfy all your cravings with freshly made subs, pasta, sandwiches, and even homemade cheesecake.
Cheesecake, too? I think I'm in love.
And you'll be in love with the great menu that Scoobies has to offer with specialties like their very own chicken, bacon, and ranch sub. And right now, for the summertime, Michiana's best-tasting Chicago dog featuring a quarter-pound all-beef hot dog.
That's more than a mouthful.
And if you need something to wash down all that meat, mention you heard this advertisement on XCRS Radio and get a free drink with any purchase.
Ladies, you won't be disappointed with this 7-inch.
That's Scoobies, downtown Mishawaka, home of the biggest 7-inch around.
Option 5, located in Mishawaka, Indiana, specializes in hand-built boutique guitar effects pedals. Option 5 has been producing the highest quality pedals right here in northern Indiana since 2002, and they continue to create original, non-copy designs today. Option 5 is not simply tweaking popular pedals and then slapping their name on them. They're producing groundbreaking effects designed for guitarists of all styles. And Option 5 doesn't just build cool pedals. They provide top-notch repair service as well. Option 5 repairs pedals and PA equipment, can modify and retube amplifiers, and service or repair Hammond organs and Leslie speakers. If you're looking for the highest quality effects pedals and the best in repair and customer service, check out Option 5 in Mishawaka at 1126 East Jefferson. Give them a call at 574-255-6539 or online at option5effects.com. That's option, the number 5, fx.com. Option 5. Let tone abound.
Where do you go when you're looking for great food, a cold drink, and some of the best local live music? I go to the Phoenix, located on the corner of Lincoln Way and Main Street in historic downtown Mishawaka. Thursday nights, it's open jam with $2 well drinks. Friday and Saturdays, there's always live music with no cover charge. Great food, cheap drinks, excellent service. The place to be is the Phoenix.
Since 1980, Mr. G's has been serving up good food, good drinks, and good times. Woo! Located at 708 Lincoln Way West in the heart of Osceola. They are open 364 days a year with live music on the weekends and food and drink specials every day. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, and check out their website, MrGOC.com.
Stan, Grandma said she poked you and you haven't sent a poke back.
Stop in every Thursday for the world-famous prime rib or to watch your favorite sporting event on their mini HD TVs.
Woo! NASCAR!
Smoking is allowed, so you must be 21 or over. Perfect.
Tune in Wednesday night at 6 p.m. for Through the Deep Tracks with Bill McDonald.
We want to welcome you back to XCRS Radio.
Through the Deep Tracks.
Show tonight, and we're traveling down the highway here. Strap on your helmet, board the short bus. It's going to be a rough ride. You're traveling the deep tracks tonight with Mr. Bill. We're in
Through the Deep Tracks.
And I want to wish him a happy birthday. We're going to carry on now with a song from the Rolling Stones, and actually, it was this week. And a happy birthday this week. He just turned 62 this week. And we're going to finish out the evening with a track here, the third track from the album.
Wednesday nights at 6, only on the X. XCRSradio.com. Through the Deep Tracks.
Have you heard those two wacky guys, Chris and Ginn, on the Life is Art Also show? They share their favorite songs and their future favorites too. They have live interviews with authors, comedians, artists, and musicians, and lots more. They also have a Word of the Week with Mad Dog Ho, the official lexicographer of Internet Radio. Tune in every Thursday, 6 p.m. on XCRS.com.
And we are back. The Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio, brought to you by DDW Transmission this hour. So if you missed any of the show, or you missed the start of the show, or the middle of the show, or if you're about to miss the end of the show, you can check it all out.
Don't miss it. Stay on the line.
Yeah, you definitely want to stick around this half hour. We're talking NFL football. I don't know why you would. But if for whatever reason you got to get out and you got to go do something else, you can catch this on the podcast just by going to iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeartRadio, download the Cheap Seats podcast. Also available on Spreaker and upcoming soon on iTunes. So check that out. And,
also on Facebook, and Twitter.
Yeah, you can always check it out on Facebook and Twitter. We have a new Twitter handle.
Yes, we do.
Thanks to producer Emily, we have a new Twitter handle. That is what was it? At XCRS_Cheap Seats.
Yep. And also you'll find
follow
it
us on Twitter.
On Facebook. You'll find it on my Steve Detterman Sports Host Facebook page.
Yeah, so there's no excuse.
No, it'll all be
no
there.
excuse.
It's all
just
there.
Look for the Cheap
just
Seats
get in
with
there.
Steve and Steve on Facebook.
You will
can find
find
it there.
You will
yeah,
find
no excuse. You should be able to. So there's going to be a test next week, and if you fail, it's on you. We've given you the resources. The learning is up to you.
And then also do us a favor when you listen to it. If you listen on Facebook or something like that, give us a comment. Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, Absolutely. That iHeartRadio has comments too.
Yes.
So does Spreaker.
Let us know what you think. It's
Drop
always
a
nice to hear
comment in there. Share the podcast too. We'd like to really
Share the love.
We'd love to get this podcast out to even more people. The podcast is good. It grows every month. We have more and more listeners.
The shocking
but I'd like
thing
to try and get them to grow more. What?
I had producer Emily check our Twitter, followers.
Yeah.
10. That's it.
10,
Come on.
10 Twitter followers on the new handle. That's it? 10 followers?
That's it.
10 followers?
10 followers on
I'm
Twitter.
sorely disappointed.
I know. Come on.
We need
what
to
are those
increase
guys
that.
out in Virginia?
Let's go Twitter. Let's
on.
go Twitter, people.
Come on, Twitter heads.
Come on.
Tweet it.
At XERS_ the cheap seats. Find it. Follow it.
Follow it.
Please.
Be one of our loyal fan base.
Absolutely.
Be a seater. Be the cheapie.
Okay, just stop while you're ahead.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Be a cheapie.
All right, so NFL.
Yes.
Week 4 already underway. The Bengals end up doing well.
Oh, they destroyed
last
Miami,
night.
22-7.
Did not look good.
No.
At any point. And really, before we get into the Week 4 news, the only other news really on the NFL, major news anyway, Josh Gordon goes to rehab, was scheduled to get back with the...
That's about 3 years too late, though, isn't it? For him?
Well, you don't go to rehab for weed.
No.
So I think this is probably for something else, but nobody's saying anything. Nobody's saying anything as far as specifics as to what it's for, but he was scheduled to join the team. Instead, says he's going into rehab, so we'll see what happens there. If you're the Browns, you are in a tough spot. This reminds me a lot of Tony La Russa when he had Darryl Strawberry going through all the stuff that he was going through with his addiction problems, and La Russa was just like, look, I don't have time for this guy. This guy's wasting his talent. I don't really care. Let's move on from him and let him go his own way. And you kind of wonder if the Cleveland Browns eventually look at this young man as a waste of talent and a waste of their money. They have a lot of resources put into him.
Yeah.
And so it really makes you a little sad, really, because Josh Gordon was expected to be one of the better NFL superstars coming into the league.
And he showed the flashes of that
4 years ago. And, he started really – he came out really fast.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously took a turn for the worse with his decisions. I think anybody hanging around Johnny Manziel, probably a bad decision to start with.
Well, I don't know. Was that a bad decision on Manziel or a bad decision on Gordon? Because you got to remember, Gordon already was there.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyhow, so he's in rehab now,
Right.
and that's just one more blow to an already reeling Browns team. But then when aren't they reeling?
You talk about a franchise that just keeps taking one to the chin. Every year it just seems like boom, boom. You can't keep a quarterback. RG3 gets hurt. You bring the next guy in, he gets hurt. It's.
Yeah, you don't even know what you're going to do. If you're a Browns fan right now, you are, man, my hat's off to you. I just don't know. I don't know how you can.
I don't know. I don't
know how you keep wearing the jerseys. I don't know how you keep going to the games.
I don't know how people. You talk about the dog pound. It's like, that's the dog poo poo over there. That's what they're watching. It's just horrible. It's horrible dreck. And unfortunately, really they've got 16 games of it this year. That's the problem. Now, we've got a lot of games going on. There were a couple surprises last week. I think the Minnesota win. Both of us did not pick Minnesota to win last week.
Right.
And against Carolina. And they just went in and took care of business. That defense just slammed the door.
Right.
There are a couple different surprises that we saw last week that were just like, wow, okay, that was amazing. The Denver win last week, that was kind of surprising also, because I don't think either one of us picked that one. So when we look at this week, if you take a look at the season, you still have 5 undefeated teams.
Yes.
Okay. The New England
and
Patriots.
5 winless teams.
Yeah, you got New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Baltimore. Denver. Baltimore's a surprise at 3-0. Denver at 3-0. Philadelphia. Carson Wentz. I mean, the dude is just lighting it up. They're 3-0. Minnesota at 3-0. Remember, after they lost Teddy Bridgewater, it was all everything was downhill. Well, they've that defense has just been superb so far this season. So we've got a couple there, and yes, we do have some winless teams. Jacksonville. Remember, Jacksonville was a darling this year going in.
Right.
Cleveland, we already spoke of the woes there.
Right.
New Orleans 0-3.
Yep, that is it's tough to see too, because that is still the core squad is still actually a very talented squad. They're getting a little long in the tooth now.
Well, the defense is just horrible.
But yeah, the leaders on that team are still great guys.
Yep. And then the Bears 0-3.
Not a big surprise there. They've got a lot of problems going, a lot of injury problems. You know what? I have to tell you, we made our picks during the break, and we're going to
go over them soon.
Yep. I need to change my pick.
Okay. Which one?
I just found out Jamal Charles is starting Sunday night versus the Steelers.
Okay.
I got to take the Chiefs in that one.
Okay.
I have to.
Okay, so
a little insight there.
Okay, so we'll start with that game. Kansas City at Pittsburgh. You're picking Kansas City.
That is the Sunday night game.
That's the Sunday night game.
Here's what I'm looking at in this game. Kansas City's defense is predicated around one major thing: pressuring the quarterback, forcing him to make mistakes, and laying back in coverage and jumping on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Ball hawking. They give up a few big plays in doing it, but at the same time, they also generate a lot of turnovers. They've generated, I believe it's something to the tune of 7 turnovers this year already.
They did 6 last week.
Yeah. So 7 turnovers, or well, it might be more than, maybe 9 turnovers already this year. Obviously, the young man Marcus Peters holds the lead right now for interceptions in the league. They look unstoppable on defense, right. and they offensively they're getting it done with a 2 running back tandem. Now you get Jamal Charles back, a lot more confidence coming out of the backfield, a lot better offensive line play last week. I like what Kansas City can do if they need to get downfield, and with Jamal Charles at running back, that adds another huge piece on that offense to really to extend drives, keep the ball out of the Steelers' hands, and don't allow Ben Roethlisberger to dictate the game. I think Kansas City can come in and quiet the crowd. I like the Chiefs in that one, in a very tight game, which always ends up being a tight game against the Steelers. Yeah. I do like the Chiefs in that one, 27-24.
I'm sticking with my original pick. I'm in Steel City Sunday night. Ben Roethlisberger on parade. I've got to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one. I think it's going to be a really good defensive struggle. And I don't think we're going to see a lot of scoring in this one, but I think Pittsburgh at home will take it out.
If not for Jamal Charles, I would have picked the Steelers as well.
Okay, let's go back and we'll start all over. I'll start at the top. We've got our first London game.
Yes, sir.
We've got Indianapolis taking the trek over there to take on Jacksonville.
8:30 in the morning.
8:30 in the morning, and this was remember, Indianapolis now 1-2. They finally got their first win. Jacksonville still looking for that first win.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, still looking for that first win. What do you got on this one?
I like Indy to play off of that win last week to beat up on a Jacksonville team that looks like they're still having a hard time finding an identity. Andrew Luck takes control of the offense and scores a lot of points quickly and gets Jacksonville out of this game early. I like the Colts winning and winning big.
Yeah, and I'm going to move on the other side. I'm going to take Jacksonville this one. I think they're going to get off the schneid. I think Indianapolis, to be honest with you, I think they got lucky last week with their win. Again, they had to wait till the end before they were able to take that one. I think Jacksonville with the long trek over the pond, I think they're going to take this one. Carolina at Atlanta. I'll do the first honors here. I've been very impressed with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan leads the NFL in quarterback rating. He has done a tremendous job. I think that at home, the way that offense has been running, Carolina they've been ho-hum. They've been ho-hum to a tune of 1-2 so far this year. And I think the ho-hum is going to continue. I think Atlanta with Matt Ryan at home in Atlanta, they're going to burn the Carolina Panthers, and Atlanta's going to take this win.
Okay, in this game, what I'm looking at is Carolina comes away from that Minnesota game feeling like they feel like they let that one get away. They really feel like they should have went in there with a little bit better focus, controlled the game, controlled the tempo, and they did not, and they allowed Minnesota to run up and down the field on them. And meanwhile, Cam Newton and that offense could not get fired up. They play well in Atlanta. On the road, Carolina normally does pretty well in Atlanta, and their defense is just fast enough to keep up with everything that Atlanta has to throw at them. Matt Ryan is good. Matt Ryan under pressure is not as good. I think Carolina gets a lot of pressure to Matt Ryan. I think Cam Newton puts the offense on his shoulders and carries them to victory. He loves playing in domes. He's about 10 percentage points better in the dome in completion percentage than what he is out in open grass. So I like Cam Newton and Carolina in this game.
Okay. Next game, Tennessee at Houston.
Tennessee, boy, the
1-2 Tennessee Titans against the 2-1 Houston.
The Marcus Mariota project is just not it's not going according to plan. Meanwhile, Houston, big blow, J.J. Watt, back injury, going to be out. He's on injured reserve. Odds are probably not going to be back this year. I don't think it's going to matter much against Houston. I think the rest of that defense can kind of pick up the slack against a team like the Titans. If Tennessee or if Houston rather has to go up against somebody that really has a great offense and a lot of good tight end help, slot receivers and stuff like that. Even running backs that catch a ball out of the flat, they're going to be in trouble. But against a team like Tennessee, not a ton of weapons for Mariota. I think Houston would be enough. They'd be able to generate enough points to get out of this one.
The Marcus Mariota project. I like that. Not so much of a project, but just someone that's been kind of left in the projects because he has nothing there. Nothing. He has nothing to go with. I mean, and I feel sorry for the young man because he's trying to do it by himself, and that's how it's been. Houston takes control of this. They take control of it early. I also like Houston. Next game we got Seattle at the Jets. The Seattle Seahawks coming in at 2-1. The Jets at 1-2. The Seahawks 2-1 could easily be 0-3. They have not looked good. If you watched any of that game last week, you saw Russell Wilson go down with a sprained knee. He will play. Looks like he's going to actually start the game. I'm amazed at the battering that Russell Wilson has taken so far early this season. I think that battering is going to continue. I think the Jets at home, Todd Bowles has this defense up, ready to go, and this is going to be the team that dismantled Buffalo. I think the Jets are going to come out of this. I think they're going to come out of this big.
The Seahawks finally end up scoring a fair amount of points last week, and that means a lot because up until last week they didn't. I think they scored a total combined 20 some odd points. That was it. So I mean, it's been ugly. Yeah, it's been ugly. It's 15 points in the first 2 weeks, and then they came out and last week ended up doing quite a bit better in scoring 37 points. So they ended up more than doubling up their total for the year.
No. Who'd they play last week?
Now, mind you, last week they ended up playing the 49ers, which, they're always going to get up for that game. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
When I look at what Seattle can do, and what they have done, it literally is like the tale of two offenses. When you go up against a Jets team that they basically got embarrassed by Kansas City last week, and Darrelle Revis is playing hurt. If he plays at all, it's going to be a limited capacity. That really didn't help their defense last week, and it's definitely not going to help this week. I do like Ryan Fitzpatrick to try and take over this game, though, and Seattle's defense, unless Seattle's defense can find a way to stop the bleeding over the top, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick can find a way to get the ball downfield. I actually like the Jets to come up with an upset in this game. I just think the Seattle offense is too unstable. They caught fire last week, played a very emotional game. I'm expecting a letdown here against the Jets. I think Seattle goes back to their non-scoring ways, and I like the Jets in this game.
Okay. Next game, Detroit at Chicago. The winless Bears against the 1-2 Lions.
Boy, the Bears, more injuries, and on top of that, they might even have a few more injuries.
Yeah.
I think somebody gets hurt walking out to the bus every week. Detroit, not really a much better scenario, just not a lot of pieces in place. We've got a few people banged up. I think the toll has been a little too much for Chicago versus what it's been for Detroit. I like Detroit in this game.
Yeah, when Chicago played last week and they do all the introductions on Sunday Night Football and the Bears got there and introduced themselves, I think I posted on Facebook, I said, who are these guys? I didn't recognize one person. And that's how they played. Detroit, they still have an offense. They have Matthew Stafford. He has done tremendous. Golden Tate. Theo Riddick did a great job in the backfield. I think the Lions win this going away. Now, this is a game you hadn't picked yet. We were coming back to this. Buffalo at New England. And now in New England, who's going to start at quarterback? That's going to be the question.
That is going to be the question. One thing that's not a question in Buffalo, Sammy Watkins. He is out for sure for Buffalo in this game. That pretty much ices it for me. Buffalo doesn't have enough weaponry to defeat New England in this one. I think the Patriots take this one. No matter who, they might even call me to play the second half at quarterback, and I'll do it. I have no problem doing it. I'll throw a couple of touchdowns. But I like New England in this one going away.
Give Belichick 10 days to prepare. I don't care who you put back in quarterback. Put Julian Edelman back there, fantastic. New England takes this one easily. Cleveland at Washington. I'm sorry, Cleveland. You're 0-3 right now. When you get done, it'll be 0-4. I don't see a revival. I don't see a resurgence. I don't see anything out of there except another replay of your losses so far this year. Washington takes this one.
Really, honestly, if the Browns can just come out with their uniforms on straight, I think that's a major moral victory for them. This is going to be a nasty game. Washington's they're just going to overpower. They're bigger. They're well stronger, much faster, and offensively, they're going to just push the Browns' defensive line around. I expect this to be a big yardage game for the Washington offense. Washington wins big.
The 2-1 Raiders against the 3-0 Baltimore Ravens. Oakland at Baltimore, what you got?
How do you stop Oakland's ability to score points? Oakland is offensively they're going to be one of the better scoring teams by the end of the year. They tweak a few things, and this is a team that potentially could score 28 points a game without even sweating. That said, Baltimore struggling a little bit to find offense this year. I think it is possible to be able to match what Oakland's been capable of doing. I think both defenses are about the same. It's a wash there. I like Oakland just because the defense is hotter right now. Or offense is hotter right now.
What you talking about, Willis? Oakland scores 80 points, but they've given up 79. That sounds like they've given up quite a bit of points. Baltimore, on the other hand, only 44 points against. I think this is going to be a defensive struggle, but more of a defensive struggle for Oakland to score some points. At home, I like Baltimore in this one.
I didn't say Oakland didn't give up points.
No,
I said they score them.
You said their defense was as good as Baltimore. I'm going, you said it was a wash. I don't think so. I think this is where we're going to – that's one of the disagreements that we have on this one. We've got 5 of them altogether. Denver at Tampa Bay. I was even impressed with Marcus Semien this last week. I was impressed with what he did. I don't see that changing. Denver's defense is still lights out. Tampa Bay, sorry. You Buccos are going to be after this game. You'll be 1-3, and looking up at the 3-1 Atlanta Falcons. Denver in this one, big time.
Tampa Bay. I'm sorry. You got nothing for the Broncos. Broncos are still playing with a fantastic defense. The offense can be whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't matter. So the defense is still good enough to stop just about anybody. Denver wins this one easy. By the way, I just want to mention to you, all right, the teams that the Raiders have had to play, all right, the first 2 games, the Saints, which can throw down points all over the place, they just can't stop anybody, and the Falcons, who hung 35 points on them. So so they allowed 70 points in the first 2 games.
We'll see the trenches. We'll see how it goes in the trenches.
Right.
The LA Rams against the Arizona Cardinals. You're up.
The Cardinals, when you look at what they were expected to do at the beginning of the season and what they've done so far, I think we're just a little bit different than what we're kind of expecting, honestly. I think really that game against the Patriots was kind of a misnomer, and then the egg they laid against the Bills kind of scares you a little bit. But they looked really good against a bad team. So that being the case, they go up against another team, which is really kind of a bad team. The Rams are not a great team. They're just good enough to make things a little interesting for a little while. I think this is a game where the Cardinals come out, they kind of flex their muscles. They know they lost one against the Bills, which was ugly. They come out beat up on the Rams. I got the Cardinals in a big win on this one.
Oh, hold your horses there, Mr. Willis. Take away the first week of the season, and the LA Rams defense has been stellar. Arizona has turned into a one-trick pony. If Carson Palmer can't throw down the field, they stink. They're off. Their running game has not been anything, and the Rams defense has been Rams defense the last 2 weeks, something that they had back in St. Louis and they could actually hang their hat on. I think the Rams continue their stretch. I think Arizona continues to try and find out who the hell they are this season. I think the Rams are going to pin one on Arizona in Arizona.
I just want to point out the Rams allowed Tampa Bay to score 32 points last week.
Okay.
So I don't know how good you think that defense is, but I don't.
They let Seattle score how many? 3.
Well, yeah, but the Seahawks, I don't trust their their offense anyway.
Okay.
Then they got blanked by the 49ers. So
did the Rams win last week?
So?
Well, I just asked.
They beat Tampa Bay.
Yeah, okay. Did Arizona win last week?
No, like I said, they laid an egg.
Did Arizona
Buffalo.
win the first week?
I don't know, but my computer just froze up, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, that's because you're going with Arizona. That's why.
I shouldn't be arguing.
It's frozen.
Look at this.
New Orleans at San Diego. I take a look at this game, and you see Drew Brees, and you see all the offense that New Orleans can throw up, and then you see the defense that they can throw down, which is absolutely nothing. They lay down. They went up against Atlanta this last week, and I go, oh, my God, look at this. Big scoring game and everything else, and it was for Atlanta. They just killed them. I think Phillip Rivers still has a little bit of gas in the tank. I like that offense that they have. I think playing out in San Diego, it's a long way for New Orleans to travel. I don't care if Drew Brees is going home or not. That's where he started out in San Diego. It's going to be a poor homecoming for him. San Diego is going to win this one.
San Diego never starts out hot.
Never.
San Diego starts out fairly weak. They usually get hot towards the end. I don't know why, they just do. It's been that way for as long as I can remember. New Orleans, on the other hand, usually starts out hot, and then reality slaps them in the face. For some reason, we've had a weird twist of fate this year, and for some reason, San Diego offensively have started out a lot better than what they have in years past. Drew Brees and the boys over in New Orleans, they started out hot, and now they've fallen apart right away. it's going to be an interesting game just from the respect that you don't know which team is going to show up on either side of the ball. I like San Diego to hold serve at home. I like them to just stay, protect home, basically, in this one. And San Diego goes away on the 4-hour flight, or New Orleans goes away on the 4-hour flight back to the Bayou, winless in this game.
32 points a game they're giving up so far. New Orleans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just horrible. Dallas at San Francisco.
Cowboys, move on.
Yeah, I think San Francisco gets Kaepernicked out, and Dallas really just walks away with this one. And now on to the Monday night game. Monday. The New York Giants at Minnesota. You talk about, if you would have talked about this game 3 weeks ago, you say, hey, Minnesota in a walk.
Yeah. 3 weeks ago, it was Teddy Bridgewater throwing all over that defense.
But if you take a look at this game now, you've got a hot Giants team coming against a very defensive-minded Minnesota team. What do you got on this one?
I think Minnesota really tries to push the envelope with the offense. Sam Bradford ends up making a few mistakes. I think the Giants' defense, which is way better than advertised, gets after the entirety of that Minnesota offense. And Eli Manning takes over with his weapons and beats up on a poor Minnesota secondary. Giants win.
They say Beckham, Cruz, Shepard. That's all I need to say.
There you go.
Beckham, Cruz, Shepard. Giants in the air are going to take it to Minnesota. That's going to be a good game, but I think the Giants will win.
There you go.
So we have our picks, and we actually wrote them down this week so we can follow up with them next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've actually got them written down because we were going through, how did we do last week? We didn't write them down.
Did you write them down?
We
No.
talked
Did you
about
write them down? No.
They are written down.
So they're written down this week, so we will check with them next week. And speaking of next week, that's the next time you're going to hear from us. We got to go. We're going to send you out of here. You guys enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Live on the road next week, folks. We'll see you at Four Winds Field.
Yes, sir. You guys have a great night.
Bye.
Have you heard those two wacky guys, Chris and Ginn, on the Life is Art Also show? They share their favorite